What's going on, friends? You're looking for a used Harley-Davidson. You found a Twin Cam 88 that's got a really good price on it. 88s go for a really decent amount of money. I mean, pretty fair prices these days. Well, just know what you're getting into. And I'm not talking about what you need to know about the Twin Cam 88. There's just a lot of factors that go into purchasing an 88 that go well beyond the really cheap price. Now, when it comes to getting a deal on a Twin Cam 88 powered Harley-Davidson, there are some factors, and obviously the elephant in the room is the cam chain tensioners. But I'm going to go a little further than just the cam chain tensioners today. There's a little bit more to it than that, especially when you get down the road a little bit and you decide to start doing things to your engine. There are some things that you need to be aware of when it comes to the 88 that you really don't realize until you start trying to buy parts for it and start making some changes to the motorcycle. Guys, please don't forget, if you enjoy the video, don't forget to hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. So obviously when it comes to the Twin Cam 88, I don't care what year it is. If it's a 99 through a 2006, unless it's a 2006 Dyna, you need to get in there, you need to open up the cam chest and pull it out and take a look at the tensioners. Because, as you know, everybody that's selling a used Harley-Davidson, especially an 88, they're 100% honest, and you can trust what they tell you 110%. Now, I would normally say, hey, if you got a bunch of receipts and everything that shows all this has been done, yeah, I might, somewhat kind of trust that. But when it comes to a Twin Cam 88, I don't trust anything on those bikes, especially when it comes to the cam chest, until I pulled it apart and I put eyes on it, either myself or somebody that is trusted to do something like that for you. Now, the reason why I say that is I have seen people get burned with a Twin Cam 88 before. Number one, well, obviously I've seen them come apart, run through, plug up the oil passages, and shell the engine, but a little more obscure, and it hasn't happened often, but I can name a few times where they have had receipts for the bike. They actually had receipts where it was actually swapped over to a hydraulic tensioner with an updated cam plate. Well, bikes change hands. And when those receipts have followed that motorcycle through maybe another owner or two, sometimes parts tend to disappear out of the engine that were originally there. So if you blindly trust the motorcycle that those parts are actually in the engine, especially with something as critical as the cam chest, when it comes to a Twin Cam 88, this could get you into some real trouble. There is nothing worse than start to have an engine issue and you go ahead and you tear into it only to find that the billet cam plate that is listed on the receipts is no longer down there in the cam chest, and you open it up to find that somebody somewhere along the way has actually converted it back to a regular old cast cam plate with spring tensioners in it. Now, when it comes to a Twin Cam 88, if you bought one used, you can do whatever you want. It's your motorcycle. But my personal opinion is, unless you lay eyes on that cam chest, you are riding around a time bomb. It is absolutely imperative, if you have an 88, to know where your tensioners are sitting at as far as wear. Because there is absolutely nothing worse than buying an 88 and then blowing up the engine. And then all of a sudden that good deal you got on that 88, it's not such a great deal anymore, because now you're looking for an engine because the oil passages got plugged and the engine is pretty much junk and scrap now because it's just pretty much shelled beyond recognition. So honestly, the only way I would trust an 88, a used 88, is if I know this motorcycle and I know everybody that's owned it. Now, you might run into a situation where this was your buddy's bike, but he sold it, and now all of a sudden it showed up back in your life, but you don't know where it's been for the past 5 or 6 years or who's done what to it. And a lot can happen with that amount of time and that amount of miles. As I mentioned, I've seen parts disappear out of the engine, but the receipt still kind of floats around with it. And as I mentioned, everybody selling a used motorcycle is 100% honest, even if they're the preacher at the church. So in other words, don't trust anybody. We know Grandma didn't ride that Harley just back and forth to church on Sunday and that was it. You know, if that amount of time there's just really no telling where that bike's been, what it's been through, and who's been into that engine, even though it's got receipts in it. Now, a lot of times, if you got receipts for some performance parts, performance cams, and you get on it and you ride it, if you rode enough Harleys, you're going to be able to tell pretty quick that a parts have been swapped out. But if you're simply looking at something like, oh yeah, the cam plate's been changed over, oh yeah, I got this receipt for tensioners, there's no way to really know unless you open it up and actually visually look at it yourself, or take it to somebody you trust and have it inspected. Now, okay, so you bought an 88, it sounded good, it looked good. I mean, you know, you're going to go ahead and buy it. If it sounds good and looks good, just be ready to tear into it. And once you tear into it, just plan on upgrading and updating that cam chest anyhow. You may or may not get lucky and it may have already been done, but 9 times out of 10 it probably hasn't. And you can go with the bare minimum. Just put some spring tensioners in there, but the right thing to do is to go ahead and upgrade it and convert it over to the later style with the hydraulic tensioners. Now this is where things get interesting with the 88s, and this can really cause you some issues, and you got to really pay attention to what parts you're ordering if you have an 88. When it comes to the Twin Cam 88, we have what are called basically conversion cams, and in a nutshell, the 88 has a smaller diameter inner cam bearings, and originally on the outside, the stock cam plate had roller bearings in it. Now the late model that you're converting to with the hydraulic tensioners, you have to have a cam that has the smaller inner diameter to work in the smaller cam bearings, but the outside, the outboard side of the cam has to be larger and designed to run in the bushings. So you gotta kind of be aware of what you're ordering. This is why I say you've got to get in there and find out what you've got. Do you have the original equipment cam plate with the bearings in it? Or do you have a converted cam plate that's actually got the bushings and the hydraulic tensioners? Or you might even have the old style Screaming Eagle billet cam plate that actually had hydraulic tensioners but still used the roller bearings on the outside. So it is very imperative to know which cam plate setup you have in that bike. Because the last thing you want to do is order a cam for your 88 and find out that, oh crap, I don't have the setup that I thought I had. It's all stock, or it's already been converted over, so I actually need a conversion cam. This can save you a lot of time and frustration just by opening up that cam chest and looking in there. So guys, 88, that is a great motor. There's just so many variables when it comes to that engine. That engine is not quite as, I would say, standardized as it was going forward with the 96 and the 103. With the 96 and the 103, we didn't have to worry about converting over the cam plate. We didn't have to worry about smaller diameter inner cam bearings, switching over to bushings, get away from the outboard side where it had the roller bearings in it. We don't have all that on the 96 or the 103. So if you're going to get an 88, just know you have to get into that cam chest. Even if you're just spending the money to get in there just to take a quick peek in there to see what's been done and just check the tensioner pad wear. But either way, you need to know what you have in there. Because if you decide to do any work to your bike and you just order parts based on assumptions, this can get you into a lot of trouble. This can cost you downtime, a lot of extra money, and unfortunately, hopefully not, if you ordered the wrong parts, you might be stuck with them and eating that cost. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of reasons to buy an 88. One, if you want to get a carburetor. Two, if you get a 99 to 02 model, you can get the Timken bottom end. You don't have to do the conversion. There's a lot of things that you could do with a Twin Cam 88. Now also bear in mind, if you get one of the older Screaming Eagle CVO bikes that had the 95 or the 103, you got the same issue going on down there, just like you did on the 88. They're no different down in the cam chest. But anyhow, guys, that's all I've got for you this week. If you guys enjoyed the video, please don't forget to hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. But until next week, guys, you stay safe on the streets, ride smart, dodge those cars, and I'll catch you guys back here next week with a brand new video. Thanks for watching.